Hello, everybody, if anybody's here yet. Let's go over here. Let me see. Hey everybody, I see who's here. Keisha. Sorry, just getting a little setup thing going right here. Okay. Gotta share this on Twitter, I guess. Can you guys hear me okay? A little quiet? Okay, I can try and fix that. Hold on. Everybody. Yeah, I'm working on it, Jason. Just 1 second. Oh, I better know what it is. Is that any better? That any louder? Okay, cool. Now let's get this going. So originally I was just going to do let's see here. Over here. Okay. So I'm doing my computer backwards today. I get the windows switched around. Okay. So is everything looking okay? Sounding okay? Get the mic a little closer. So what's the latest is we filed a motion, let me see, about a month ago, just shy of a month ago, asking for, we're asking for the change to count 30 and by extension to count 1. We're still litigating parts of it, but the short answer is we got 10 years taken off the sentence, but the court didn't invalidate the sentence on count 1. So he's still in prison. His sentence was cut by 10 years. It's a funny story, actually. When I told Tounk the first time, I was upset about not getting everything that I wanted, so I forgot to tell him that we actually got 10 years taken off the sentence. I had to circle back a second time to tell him that we'd actually won the motion. But today I just want to go through, we're going to start with the most recent I'm frozen? Man, I am frozen. I can see myself frozen. No, it's like frozen on my end too. That's weird. Hold on. That's irritating. Man, justice just moves slowly. I have an idea. Right now, using OBS, but I could be talked into changing that. That's okay. I guess we can just do the YouTube stuff anyway. Do the videos. That's so weird. Okay. Well, we can just start with the videos for now, I guess. Actually, let me try one more thing first. Let's see. Okay, well. Okay. Try plugging your cam. I just tried that, Jack. I thought that was going to fix it. That's strange. I think it just like died. The light went off on it entirely. That's bad timing. Nope, still not working. Yeah, I guess people are getting time to join. That's good. Lower the resolution. Okay. Okay, I think I'm just going to start playing the video, and I'll try to figure out the rest of it in a little bit. Because that's the important part anyway. I guess we watch full screen too, since I don't have video on. Okay, let's give this a try. Let me know if you can hear or can't hear this. Once the sound starts. Okay, can you guys hear that? This is getting irritating. Let's try this.
The special, or
can you hear that?
a special condition within the sentence that he received from Judge Glanville on December 8th of 2023 as it relates to his reviewing, acknowledging that the factual acknowledgments that were a part of the plea agreement in which he entered into on December 8th.
Actually, let me give you a little bit of context for this first. So this is going to be the probation revocation hearing. And one thing you need to know before you start listening to this, the more interesting, juicy parts come in the second half, but the first half, when Nobate is speaking, is also important. And one thing I want you to listen for is for him to say that Tounk violated a term of his sentence. So he's going to talk about the plea agreement a lot. He's going to refer to things close to the specific sentence that was imposed, but listen to see if he actually says if there's a specific term of his sentence that was imposed that was violated.
As to his violation.
Go back a little bit.
This is a probation revocation matter.
You're probably right about that, Moon Goddess.
Yes, Judge. State filed a notice of a probation revocation for the defendant as to his violation of the a special condition within the sentence that he received.
Notice he said special condition. He didn't say special condition of probation.
From Judge Glanville on December 8th of 2023 as it relates to his reviewing, acknowledging that the factual acknowledgments that were a part of the plea agreement.
A part of the plea agreement, not a part of the sentence.
In which he entered into on December 8th of 2023.
It was December 28th, 2022.
I have a certified copy of the conviction for Your Honor with a certified copy of the indictment, as well as a copy of the transcript of the plea that was taken on December 8th of 2023.
December 8th of 2022.
An exhibit within that plea transcript is the plea agreement, which includes the sections, I believe it's sections 4 and sections 5 of the plea agreement as it relates to the factual acknowledgments that the defendant swore under oath during the plea that he
swore under oath during the plea. I have no idea what that means.
Had reviewed, then initialed each one of the factual acknowledgments, and then signed that he...
Did he sign the sentence? Was it in the sentence?
Again, understood and had reviewed each one of the acknowledgments that he initialed as part of the special conditions of his plea, that when called to testify, if called to testify, that the specific factual acknowledgments within the plea agreement were true.
Again, within the plea agreement, not within the sentence.
Inaccurate statements, and that would be the testimony that he would provide as it relates to his witness testimony during the trial of this case. So I would present to the court State's Exhibits 1 and 2, as well as a USB drive of the defendant's testimony on day 124, 125, 126,
Incorrect.
and I think 127, Your Honor.
You think wrong.
But all of the defendant's testimony can be found on State's Exhibit 3. As everyone is aware, Your Honor witnessed it. You can take judicial notice of everything that occurred during the testimony in which Mr. Sledge did testify. And I believe
I don't know about that, Kat,
during,
but also yes.
125 helped direct the defendant to sections 4 and 5 of the plea agreement during the testimony for him to focus on it.
Again, from the plea agreement, not from the sentence.
Read and to go one by one and acknowledge or disavow is the only word I could really think as to being no longer true and
Never true.
Testifying under oath that he was violating the special conditions of his probation, Your Honor. So this time I would tender State's Exhibits 1, 2, and 3 for the court.
All right, I'm not.
You see what he said there? He said that Sledge acknowledged that he was violating special conditions of probation. Abate didn't actually say that there were any special conditions of probation. So through that entire statement that he just did, he didn't actually accuse Sledge of violating a special condition of probation a single time. Look at AL in the corner. Ooh.
I'm not quite sure I understand what 3 is.
3 is a USB drive with all of the testimony of the defendant. If Your Honor wants to preview it or wants to be part of the record.
Is that from the official transcript?
Well, it's the YouTube link, the live stream of all
No,
of
would be the
Okay,
short
I'll
answer.
just take judicial notice of it. I mean, if you want to make an exhibit, that's fine, but I'm not going to be relying on that.
So-
Since, as you know, it's only the official transcript that is the official transcript anyway, but I was here and witnessed it, so I will take judicial notice of it.
Yes, I'm very much aware of that. The transcript obviously is not ready as we're still in the midst of the trial.
Right.
I didn't want to overwhelm the court reporter who has been doing nothing but probably working hardest out of everyone in the courtroom. So I knew Your Honor.
All right.
I wish I had a camera right
Thank
now.
you.
Can I approach this?
You may. And can you try to use a mic, please? Can I? They go to the court reporter.
Nothing further from the state at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Wright,
Your Honor, may I remain seated or?
it's probably easy.
You know, we don't need to watch this part. We're going to skip ahead a little bit.
Could have been interpreted in several different ways. The guilty plea agreement in sentencing of your client in December of 2022, where you reserve that, where anybody, the state, the defense, or the court puts on the record that that's part of the understanding.
It is not in the written plea agreement, no.
All right.
Not in the sentence either, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead to this part.
From long ago, who was on here? So
Here we go.
This defendant's prior history is including any prior.
Your Honor.
Okay, here we go. I couldn't help myself. I had to get to the good part.
All right. Can the state give me a quick rundown of what this defendant's prior history is, including any prior probation violations? And then I guess I know that the probation officer is on here, so I'd probably need to at some point ask that officer if they would like to be heard as well.
Your Honor, we would defer to probation as it relates to, I know they have a full account of his history. As
All
it
right.
relates.
You know what? I think
I wonder how he knows what probation has or doesn't have.
I don't know.
That's curious.
I think I'm still on Zoom. Yeah. And what's the officer's name? John. Oh, it's my regular probation officer from long ago, whom I haven't seen in the last 2.5 months because I've been otherwise occupied.
That doesn't sound like a sworn witness.
Hello, Judge Whitaker.
Hello, I'm trying to. Oops.
Hey, when you're listening to this part, see if you can find out if the identity of this person speaking is ever put into the record. Full name.
Okay.
Let's hear
I'm
it.
trying to get myself on video. Oh, I know. So that it's not a disembodied voice. Hang on. All right. Hello, Officer Jolly.
So, Officer Jolly, what's the first name?
All right. What is probation?
Who is this person?
Can you give me a rundown of Mr. Sledge's criminal history? And I'm sure you heard the question I just asked, as well as any prior probation violations.
Well, currently, he'd used his first offender twice, one for DeKalb
He used his first offender twice. That seems possible.
County, one for Fulton County.
Sorry, I won't interrupt this much, but it gets worse.
That's
The
lucky.
DeKalb,
Since you're only supposed to get to use it once. Okay.
He did only use it once.
yes. So the DeKalb County case 04CR24799, that was theft by receiving stolen property, felon, and a obstruction of law enforcement officer, which was a misdemeanor. That was May 19th, 2005. I'm sorry. He used his first offender.
Okay, that should have been dismissed, but we don't have time to get into that one. But before I keep going, I'm going to say the second case, factual, I asked which case what used. It was actually used on that one. That was the first one, the one in DeKalb County. It was a a theft by receiving stolen property, even though the property wasn't stolen. But we're going to circle back to that one in a little bit because it kind of ties into some of the other ones. But this second case that you see on the screen, 04SC23883. I don't know if we'll do that one right now, if we'll circle back to that one as well. Because that was a conviction of somebody named Anthony Sledge, which you might note is a different name from Antonio. But let's just listen to this part first.
The second case, 04SC23883, that's Fulton County. He used his first offender. That was possession of cocaine.
Let's just do a quick little look here, and I'm gonna pull up the Fulton County page here. What? Did they just change the... That's funny. They just changed something on the Fulton County website today. I haven't seen this before. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to switch little screens here. We're going to look at... Just go blank for you guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're on the Fulton County website. 04SC 23883. Anthony Bernard Sledge. So you literally just have to look it up. It's 2360 DeLoe Avenue. There's nothing else on here, but You literally just have to look on their own website and you'll see that it's not Antonio Sledge. But in any case, we'll come back to that. Here we go.
As well as a possession with the intent to distribute cocaine. That was December 10th.
Actually, let's go back 1 second because she says 3 things in here, but it sounds like 2.
With the intent to, he used his first offender. That was possession of cocaine, as well as a possession with the intent to distribute cocaine. That was December 10th, 2004. The possession with intent to distribute cocaine in Fulton County was January 3rd, 2014. Again.
Okay, so she just said 3 things. She said the first offender, which was the theft by receiving in DeKalb County. That's 1. The second one was the possession of cocaine in 2004. That was Anthony Sledge. That wasn't Antonio Sledge. And then she just said a third one. She said Fulton County, January 3rd, 2014. So that was 3 things, not 2 things. But in any case.
In both times, all 3.
Not both times, 3 times.
3 times he used his first offender. The next case is 15 SC 13899.
Okay, this is where it's going to get really stupid.
4, that is a Fulton County case. That is the gang participation, aggravated sex battery, attempted aggravated sex battery.
Wow, that's weird. Let's see here. Let's pull up. Actually, you know what? Let's just be petty and use their own website again. Let's see here. Smart search. Where was I? One second. Actually, I have a better idea. Let's just do it this way. Oh man, my OBS is killing me right now. This is driving me crazy. Smart search. Okay. Sorry about this, guys. 1 second. Okay, there we go. So we're going to go into 15 SC 138994, and we're going to see if we can find anything about battery, sexual battery, or attempted aggravated sexual battery. I wonder where it is. Let's see here. Go all the way down. Where is the disposition? Of course, I have this, but I want to show you that I'm not. That isn't the right date. Who this is? Somebody else. Where did it go? Here we go. So, just to show you that this is the actual one and I'm not making it up. Scroll down a bit. Let's see. participation in criminal street gang, aggravated battery, assault, damage to property. Yep, there's nothing about aggravated sexual battery in here, or attempted aggravated sexual battery. So we are 0 for 2 so far from Officer Jolly. So let's see how far we can go before I have to stop again.
Aggravated assault, criminal damage first degree, criminal damage second
That's one thing. She just read 3 things, but it was 2 total.
degree, and possession with the firearm by a convicted felon.
Possession of firearm by a convicted felon. Let's see that one. Possession of firearm by a convicted felon. Yeah, I don't see that one either. That's strange. Let's keep going.
That was January 10th, 2018.
All right, so given the fact that he had at that point a possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, does that indicate that at least one of those first offenders was not successfully completed?
One
Or are we
moment.
missing a felony?
Or did it not happen?
One moment.
Yes, look down. Look down, both of you. Look straight down. Look at those prosecutors desperately trying to avoid eye contact by any means necessary.
That would be correct, Your Honor. In addition, of course, the current case that he is currently on probation on. As far as previous revocations,
So, hang on, so the 15 SC and then this 22 SC case, right? Is there anything
Correct.
between the two of them?
there's nothing in between the two of them now.
Okay.
That's weird. Just sitting here awkwardly. Clearly something didn't happen.
Are you looking about prior revocations or prior violations?
Yes, at this present time, I don't see any prior revocations. There was one documentation. It's a little bit, I guess, I'm having a hard time understanding what they meant by it.
Me too. Me too.
One moment.
Judge, while she's pulling that up, there is a 13 SC 123423 out of Fulton County. It's a VGCSA, possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute, where the defendant received 5 years probation on January 7th, 2014, which would be the predicate or basis for the possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, the 15
I figured
SC.
there had to be something else there. Okay.
Oh, do you hear it? So Adam Abate knows somehow, in some magical way, that there was a specific predicate felony for the non-existent felony. So he just told the court that the predicate felony for the possession of a firearm by a convicted felon was the 2013 case. But here's the problem. There was no conviction for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. So he cannot possibly know what the predicate felony was, because there wasn't a predicate felony. So he just lied about what the predicate felony was, because there wasn't one. And in so doing, he both covered up the fact that there was an incorrect reporting of a felony, and Judge Whitaker said there had to be something else there. There wasn't something else there. So he added an additional felony entirely. So he covered up one lie, and he added a conviction out of thin air. And he had no base. He could not have any possible basis for knowing that, because it literally did not happen. It's a complete fabrication, and said completely straight-faced to the court.
Sorry, I should have spoken sooner. I apologize.
You shouldn't have.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, the only documentation that I have regarding a revocation just said revoke closed July 16, 2008. Doesn't really show any actual time served or any time being revoked or continued on probation back in 2008.
Okay.
So I'm unsure if that's an actual revocation that was completed.
Okay, well, yeah, it sounds like maybe it was revoked, but it was just wrapped up in something else is how I would take that. I don't know. But, or that that a violation was found, but we don't know what that.
Okay, so I'm going to stop now. Let's look at these. 2015 cases. Cap County. Yeah, okay, I don't know. Let's see if I can do a little OBS scene change without humiliating myself. Nope, I already failed. That was short-lived. Can you hear me now? I did a whole thing about the KKK. Is that better? Okay, cool. So, this is the transcript from that revocation hearing. And I don't know what this is. And I've asked court reporters and stuff, and they're like, I don't know. Ooh. Actually, I should really just underline this part. But that's kind of weird. Yeah, it is unfortunate I missed the whole KKK thing. But I looked at my keyboard, and I tried to figure out how this happened. And it doesn't seem that close to the C or the T. Maybe the I guess, could possibly explain the typo. But anyway. Okay, yeah, I know, Caddis. Shout out to Nancy Jones for that one. But let's see what this revocation, and this is the 2008 revocation that nobody understood a second ago in the prior hearing. So let's scroll down and look at what the issue is. Oh, wait, never mind. This is the one they messed up. We're going to have to go to the next one. Here we go. This is on the 16th day of November 2008 and or the 21st day of November 2008. I don't know which one. But we are going to see here what the story is when we get down to the probation officer. Ooh. I highlighted way too much stuff. The probation officer's story is, were you the probation officer? Yes. Yada, 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 yada. I keep going. Let's get to the cross-examination. It's also your understanding that perhaps there may have been some confusion as to whether or not his file was under Antonio Sledge or Anthony Sledge. We have Anthony Sledge for our record. So she is specifically talking about Anthony Sledge. And as we discovered earlier, Anthony Sledge is a different fucking person. So the probation officer is not talking about Antonio Sledge. And I guess I could walk you through the reason for why this is not Antonio Sledge. Real quickly. We'll do that after, actually, but it's clear. The probation officer is intending to talk about somebody named Anthony Sledge. Actually, let's keep going. There's a little fun part down here. I want to talk about alias real quick. This is the judge. This is the judge speaking. This is at the guilty plea hearing. All right, here we go. Many of you will enter a plea or may attempt to enter a plea today, and some of you may be given probation. It's really important that you listen. Probably if there's a police officer or district attorney, we know that they have a great deal of power if you get involved in the system. There's another group of people that if you get probation that you need to be aware of. Ms. Harris, stand up and raise your hand. This lady over here in the black and pink, she is the probation officer assigned to my courtroom. She is not only cute, she carries a badge and a gun. Let me tell you this, if you manage to get probation, you just don't want to mess up while you are on probation. Most of you know you have no luck. You won't get a probation officer like Ms. Harris. You'll get somebody old, ugly, bad breath leaning over you, and they will tell you to be down at the probation office at 7 or 7:30, and you're like, oh man, I got something else to do. I need to go to work and support the baby, or I got to get the rent money. I'm just telling you, none of those excuses work with them. If you're fortunate enough to get on probation, that's where we give you an opportunity to show you want to turn your life around. You don't want to be in the criminal justice system. The one thing you don't want to do is come back in here. They don't make shows about probation officers. They don't have pretty ladies running down. Like I think you watched Alias last night. She kicks, she jumps, she drives cars. You know, she winks, nods, and does all kind of nonsense. They don't make shows about probation officers. But trust me, if they get in your case, you're going to know they're real. They don't have TV shows. If they tell you to be someplace, or tell you to take a drug test, whatever, you need to listen to them because they come in, they have a high degree of credibility with the court. If they do something wrong, I put their feet to the fire as well, but you don't want to mess up now. I'm saying it to you kind of gentle. I'm not yelling at you. I'm not being mean to you. Come back in here on probation, and I have a different attitude. And I don't get any great joy out of putting anybody in jail or see any of you go down the road for any length of time unless you really deserve it. And I think I have enough of a reputation if you deserve it. I'm going to put you in jail. And if you deserve it, and I don't think I can keep the public safe unless I put you in jail, I'm going to do that. I don't go home and say, wow, look at all the people I put in jail. I'm not happy about it. But if you don't obey the rules of society, that's the place for you. Ms. Harris, was that enough of a, I bolstered you, right? You see your pretty smile. Don't mess with her now. Thank you, Your Honor. She goes to the shooting range 2 or 3 times a week. All right, there's an addendum on my calendar. State versus Antonio Sledge. Is this a sexual harassment complaint? Is Trenton asked. It seems like it could be. But, yeah. So, yep, Cat Williams, Cat not William, asked what question, that 3 question marks. That's a good question. Yeah, that was the situation. That's what was asked there. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry for that whole diatribe there, but the important thing, that was just stupid. I mean, that's not really the most important thing in the world, but the important thing is that the 2008 probation revocation related to Anthony Sledge. And remember how earlier in the 2004 case, I showed that was Anthony Sledge, and now we have another reference in 2008. There's a revocation that was about Anthony Sledge, and Antonio Sledge is the one who ended up getting his probation revoked, although I think they fixed it after a couple of weeks. But just in case there's any question about that, I want to go back to, let me see here. I'm so annoyed at my camera being frozen. Oh, that's so irritating. Yep, let's just go back to YouTube real quick. Okay. See everything? Yeah, okay.
What that was or anything like that. All right. So does probation have a recommendation in this case?
Due to the last minute notification of this probation revocation, I would leave that up to the courts to make that decision.
Okay. All right. Well, I find there to have been a violation as alleged, and again, even discounting the item number 8. What is the state's recommendation?
Notice she didn't actually say the violation that was found. She said there was a violation, but what was the violation that was found? In fact, I'll even pull up the revocation order for you. Da-da-da. So you can see here, order of revocation. The court finds that he has violated the terms of probation in the following manner. Be specific. Has violated the special conditions of probation as alleged in the petition for revocation. So we still don't even know what the violation was, because there's no actual term of violation found here, or term that was violated found here. It just says as alleged in the petition. So we don't know what the violation was. We don't know what the evidence was supporting the conclusion of a finding of a violation of a special condition of probation. So that's neither of the things that you need to justify a finding of a violation of a term of probation. But okay, let's keep going.
In full candor to the court, Your Honor, I'm going to leave it. The state is going to leave it in the full discretion of the court. Your Honor is fully aware of the conditions. Your Honor witnessed the testimony and how it affected the trial of the case, and I'm going to let Your Honor be the full steward of deciding what the penalty should be as it relates to all of the time that Mr. Sledge still has remaining on probation.
All right. Well, I know that at least I believe in the petition for revocation, the request is that the entire 30 years be revoked. Is that right?
It's not the request.
You're just telling me that's what he has at this point, although it can't.
You know what's funny is this is just miraculous coincidence, but I covered this somewhat recently in the motion that we won that got 10 years off his sentence, is that his maximum sentence, he could not be sentenced to 30 years. That would be an illegal sentence. His sentence was illegal, and the state, by not asking for that sentence, manages to avoid asking for an illegal sentence. So it seems like the state's being gracious and magnanimous, and they're, letting the courts aside, and they're not, pressing all the way for the maximum possible sentence, but they're also avoiding advocating for an illegal sentence. So by not asking for that sentence, they're avoiding the ethical problems, violations of the rules of professional responsibility that they would incur by asking for that sentence.
It can't be all of it, right? I mean, he's been on probation for at least a couple of years, and did he serve it? What's left?
He just started on December 8th of 2023. I think you got
December 28th, 2022.
credit for the time I think he was in for 2 years.
7 months.
So he would have 26 and change or 25 and change.
I'm sorry, correct that, 22.
My bad.
Yes, he's got something right.
The exact number.
Let's see if there's anything left.
That would be 27 years, 7 months, and 8 days.
All right. All right, thank you. Anything else from either side?
No, Your Honor, nothing further from the state.
Your Honor, if it'll please the court, I understand the court's ruling.
Yeah, I can't.
Him an even greater sentence. So we would leave it in the discretion of the court, but we're asking again for a non-custodial revocation punishment.
Okay, well, I don't view it as a technical violation or akin to a technical violation.
Because you don't view it as a violation at all, right?
Considering the solemn oath
Aw.
that he took when he said that he understood every term within the plea agreement, factual acknowledgments, and sentencing acknowledgments, and understood and, in fact, orally answered that he understood when both asked by the prosecutor and the court at his plea hearing that a failure to abide by any of the terms would constitute a violation of the agreement, and he was notified that the entirety of his probation could be revoked. I do appreciate the fact that this particular violation is a non-violent violation, but I also appreciate the fact that
I'm about to agree with exactly what she says.
some of the many reasons why this could have occurred include the fact that there is just not a proper regard for the judicial system and the seriousness with which an oath in court needs to be taken.
Couldn't put it better myself. Let's listen to that again.
Of the fact that violation, but I also appreciate the fact that some of the many reasons why this could have occurred include the fact that there is just not a proper regard for the judicial system and the seriousness with which an oath in court needs to be taken. I actually view this much more akin to perjury, frankly.
I do too, actually.
Violation, and the sentence for perjury is up to 10 years. I am going to revoke 5 years of Mr. Sledge's probation. And Mr. Sledge, I am sympathetic to the fact that you have generally stayed out of trouble, and I want to commend you for that. And I really hope that this revocation doesn't set you back.
In 2019, I want to make sure I get this right. What year was this? I think it was 2019. Antonio Sledge got shot 8 times, and he spent several months in the hospital trying to recover, and mostly did recover, fortunately. And eventually he got a small settlement from getting shot 8 times that the state actually opposed, because they tried to argue that it was gang related. But anyway, he took that money and he used it to start a small business that was just starting to get off the ground. It was registered with Secretary of State. Everything was on the up and up. And yeah, he's been in prison for the past, in solitary confinement, since October of 2024. Be what, October, November, December, 8 months now, I guess. And yeah, when you have a small business and you're in prison for 8 months, it kind of sets you back a little bit. But it's okay. I mean, maybe you can. Yeah, he's been in solitary confinement the entire time. And the thing is, the reason I mentioned this in my tweet last night, today was the day that I promised, I don't know if I promised him, but I promised myself that I'd get him out by today because 2 of his kids are graduating from high school. Well, I guess they did graduate from high school. It's evening back on the East Coast. But yeah, 2 of his kids graduated from high school today. And I guess he promised himself that he wasn't going to be locked up for something that he didn't do and miss any of his children's graduation dates. And yeah, this is the reason why today was the day. And Adam Abate and Adrian Love are personally responsible for this. And that's on them, and that will forever be on them. And yeah, that will come to light in the very near future. But yeah, he has been in solitary confinement the entire time, and it was deliberate targeting. They knew exactly what they were doing. And hopefully we can get into court soon. Hopefully Court TV will be there. And what is this? Fox 11 Live, whatever it is. Let's see here. But I kind of want to stop, and I was going to do a longer stream, but I want to show one last thing. And then I'm going to try to fix my camera, and I'll do the rest of it tomorrow. But I want to show one last thing before I go. Hold on a second. I want to show Tunk's. Cardi, that's a funny observation, actually. You know what? Because is that Carly or Cardi? Yeah, Cardi. I'm going to show something from 20. This didn't come out during the trial. Here we go. Let's do this. This will be the last thing, and then I'll do the sentencing, the sentence tomorrow after I fix my camera. Here we go. This was not discussed. This didn't come up during the trial. Let's see if I can make this better. Yeah. A little bigger, I guess. Okay, yeah. So this is the 2015 case. This was, I will, Cardi. This was the case. Actually, before I get into that, it is kind of funny. I talked to Tounk about a month ago, and we were talking about how he's like famous now. Like people recognize him. It's he's kind of amused at the whole thing. But it is funny. But yeah, so this is the 15 SC case, the alleged drive-by with Quindarius Zachary and Michael Garlington. And this is the first attempt at a guilty plea hearing. And you may notice that make sure you can hear me. Yeah. The district attorney is Adrian Love. Hold on a second. There we go. All better. And let's see here. I'm going to go through this in more detail tomorrow, but there's one thing I want to show you about the total sentence that she recommends to the court. Let's see if it's on here. I might have to save this for tomorrow, but in total, she recommends a sentence of 200, or she states to the court that the maximum sentence is 220 years. And she actually overstated it by 50 years. The correct maximum is 170 years. So I have some notes on there. This one was supposed to be 10 years. This one should be 5 years. That was correct. This one's 10 years. This one's 10 years. Here we go. She says the maximum potential sentence is 210 years. Then if you go, this is the later probation hearing, or guilty plea hearing. You'll see here this Charlie Bailey. She's a different district attorney. This is the same case. It's just a little bit later on. This guilty plea hearing was essentially abandoned. Derek Wright said, something's wrong. We're not pleading guilty. Then a couple weeks later, the Charlie Bailey, who's kind of the head of this prosecution at the time, came in, did a second guilty plea. And let's see. He says, oh, where is it? I should have done this before I started this stream. I'm not going to be able to find it, but the total that was actually correct and eventually recommended by Charlie Bailey in this hearing was 170 years. So Love was off by she overstated the maximum potential sentence by about 40 years. This is actually a case that we're going to have to come back to at some point. This case is super messed up. Where is it? Yeah, okay. I'll come back for tomorrow. Make sure I find it for you guys tomorrow. But we can do a quick side by side. This is Charlie Bailey. He's right about these numbers. Count 11, 10 years. Count 12, 10 years. Aiden Love says count 11, 20 years. Count 12, 20 years. 11 and 12, 10 years apiece. Let me see. What else was wrong? 15. This is just 9 to 20. Well, she's actually wrong about this one too. I didn't notice that. But anyway, yeah, Aiden Love got a bunch of this stuff wrong in 2017. And you might remember the first day of testimony from the YSL or day 122, the first day of Sledge's testimony. Love was questioning Sledge about his understanding of negotiated versus non-negotiated pleas and blind pleas versus negotiated pleas. And the funny thing, well, not funny, but the interesting thing is that Adrian Love actually confused the entire issue for everybody back in 2017 by completely messing up this guilty plea hearing. Miss Love, this is 7 years ago, or 7 years prior to his testimony, asking him about, again, non-negotiated pleas, blind pleas. And then 7 years later, she circles back and asked him about this exact thing. But anyway. Okay. That was kind of a self-indulgent rant there. Adventurin says, I saw a Demise World update. He got a new attorney. Yeah, he did. He looks really good, actually. I'm excited about that. I just discovered that like 2 days ago. Moon Goddess. Yes, I can. I'm gonna try that again. It's either 170. I can't find it though. That's weird. I'll find it for tomorrow though. But yeah, I'm excited for Demise too. Oh, thank you, Trakisha. We'll get some out sooner. Yeah, I think you will. I certainly expect that he will be out soon. Was this the one he edited an Alfred plea for? Yeah, that's right. This is the same case. So she actually appeared in that case as a prosecutor. Even though she acted all confused and as if she didn't remember, she personally appeared in the case and actually ran a guilty plea hearing for him. But yeah, I was planning on doing a longer, more in-depth thing, but I think I'm going to try to fix my camera and then do the sentence and actual conviction tomorrow, because that's more complicated than this is. This is just across the board kind of terrible. And I think it'll be helpful if I can actually see myself and you guys can see me speak when I'm explaining that stuff. So tomorrow we'll get into the actual guilty plea hearing. That'll be a longer stream for sure, just because it's going to be a lot more involved and in depth. And actually, there's a funny thing. I'm going to do a little bit of a teaser right now because, you know, I'm a streamer now and a grifter and I have to, you know, tease everything. Let me see if I can pull this up. Here we go. And I'm going to learn how to do studio mode between now and tomorrow. Here we go. YSL gang member. Let's see. This should work. We're going to go to the very end.
Once he completes all conditions, they can come back into order.
I should probably tell you what this is before I start playing it. This is YSL gang member will testify. This is the original guilty plea hearing. I know. I need to be better at grifting. This is the guilty plea hearing. This is the end of the video of the guilty plea hearing. So everyone thinks that this is the end of, I'm going to say it for the guilty plea hearing. Let's go back a little bit here.
Subject to any restrictions that the court.
So
that bond still remains.
that bond is still in effect for that, I guess, underlying charge.
As of right now, in this case, there's no bond set. We don't know if that was the previous indictment, but as of this case, 22 SC 183572, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, no bond.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may not.
The state has no objection to the court granting a signature bond as to that count, subject to any restrictions that the court feels necessary to place on the defendant, and considering the fact that the defendant has now pled guilty to.
Has he though? You know what? No, I'm not going to do this right now. I need to do this tomorrow because I'm too annoyed right now. But let's just keep going.
Restrictions that should not be in. This is a delicate and delicate disposition. Normally, we do not hold over witness counts, but for the clerk's office reasons, we have to fashion it this way. You can only do count one and then count 30 as a bond.
It's not said in this video, but that's the court's litigation manager. I don't know his first name, but his last name's Chamberlain speaking. And he's explaining why the sentence that is being proposed by the state is, why it's not workable, why they can't do it, and why this sentence, the terms of the proposed plea agreement aren't going to be workable.
That is the only way he can read. So he's still in custody. If you don't either they can give him probation on that count, and then once he completes all the conditions, they can come back and do an order, law crossing back count. So before the state does any type of this, they need to check with the clerk's office to see what is the criteria that needs to be met before the passion of these type of distribution. Because I was told, once I made the phone call, he will not get out of this check. He will not get out. Either they offer probation or not cross it down and catch him on the back end, but if you keep the conditions, they can always come back. But try to get out.
Your Honor, will the court permit the state a moment to confer with Mr. Wright and to ensure that we...
Sure. You got one of several. You got one of a couple options. You just can't do it this way.
Yes, Your Honor.
You hear what he said? You have one of a couple options. You just can't do it this way. That was Judge Glanville speaking. He's just rejected their guilty plea. Let's listen to it again.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You just can't.
That we...
Sure. You got one of several. You got one of a couple options. You just can't do it this way.
Yes, Your
You
Honor.
just can't do it this way.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And this is the end of the video. So everyone who's watched this video thinks that this is the end of the hearing, right? He's thinking, oh my God, what is going on? Which is what I'm also thinking. What in the name of God? But fortunately,
all that was an ex parte conversation.
we also have the transcript so we can see whether that was in fact the end of the hearing. And because I just said it that way, you probably figured out that it wasn't the end of the hearing. What we just heard was this part right here. Let me see. This is where Chamberlain was speaking. Oop. And there's this whole bottom part here where the hearing continues and on and on and on. So what everyone's been watching as the guilty plea hearing has been cut short by about a third. And this wasn't nothing after this part was shown in court. You might remember on day 126, 126, or was it? Yeah, it was day 126. It was September, I think 9th or 10th of 24. But none of this was shown to the court. And one thing you'll notice is, now I'm just getting into all the stuff I said I was going to do tomorrow instead of making it a cliffhanger like I said I was going to do, is the state is making changes to the plea agreement. I believe that the plea agreement that Estates 1AS said that SLED should be subject to up to 35 years, that should be 30 as opposed to 35 years. Saying the state recommends this time the defendant be sentenced to 15 years of probation on count 30 to run consecutively. She also recommends, let me see, the state has one other addition with respect to count 30. State has no objection to the court suspending the 15 years. And one last thing, state has no objection to the first 10 year termination of probation after 10 years. And if you look at the plea agreement, this was, let me make sure I didn't put any comments in here. Okay, good. You'll see this is the plea agreement that was presented at trial as, you know, the plea agreement that Antonio says was violating. And first thing, it's dated December 27th, which was the day before it was actually finalized. But in any case, it says count 30, sentencing withheld until the completion of the trial of this case. And the plea agreement we just saw says now the state's actual final recommendation is that the defendant be sentenced to 30 years. So this agreement, 1AS, or it was 444Y, 444 Yankee during the trial, is not the final plea agreement. It's not the effective plea agreement. And you can confirm this. I definitely have comments in this that I need to delete before I scroll further. No, I don't. See, section 2B was changed between the plea agreement and this. It says count 30 until the completion of the initial trial of this case. Let me get rid of this. Don't need that. This. Let's look at this. So section 2B, sentencing withheld until the completion of the initial trial of this case. But the actual sentence, the final sentence, says until the completion of the initial trial of this case, which isn't actually a sentence at all. But what this shows is that the court specifically didn't incorporate the terms of the written plea agreement. Hey, you know what? Whatever. I don't have a comeback because you're exactly right, and that's exactly what I just did, but I'm going to say it in this voice like I'm still winning the argument. Whatever. You don't know. Yeah. I want to keep going too. That's the problem. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to talk about, I'm not going to tell you guys about how the defendant's factual acknowledgments aren't anywhere in this agreement. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about the fact that this sentence keeps talking about the agreement and this agreement, meaning that there wasn't some other external agreement. I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff. I'm not going to talk about how this part here, after successful completion, is directly taken from the transcript. It's a verbatim quote of this, which is after the rejection, meaning that this plea agreement isn't binding on anybody because it was rejected. I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff. I'm not even going to talk about Superior Court Rule 33.10, which I'm not pulling up on my screen right now because I'm not going to show it to you. Definitely not going to show this to you. I'm pulling it up right now and downloading just so I can not show it to you. Definitely not doing it right now. Oh my goodness, my mouse is driving me crazy right now. Okay, it is up. That's good. Definitely not going to show you here. Which if the trial court intends to reject the plea agreement, the trial court shall inform the defendant personally that the defendant may then withdraw his or her guilty plea as a matter of right. I'm definitely not going to point that out. Definitely not going to talk about, oh, I like this. I meant to play this earlier. Oh, man. Okay. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm going to get my camera fixed for tomorrow. That wasn't done, was it? No, it wasn't. That was the part where, remember when Attorney Love said, actually, I can just show you the transcript. Let's do it this way. And I should say, what Glanville did in rejecting the plea agreement actually made complete sense. I don't have a problem with that. He was right about the issue. Chamberlain and Glanville were both right about the issue with the plea agreement. It called for Sledge to be released without a conviction or a bond. So they basically would have just been ignoring like part of his charge, which doesn't really make sense. So I'll defend him on this one. But here it is. So this is the Glanville and Chamberlain saying that you can't do this kind of plea agreement. And when the judge should say, "Hey, you can withdraw your guilty plea," Attorney Love says, "State has no objection to the court granting a signature bond as to that count, subject to any restrictions, considering the fact that the defendant has now pled guilty." But that is where Glanville should have told Sledge that he could withdraw his guilty plea. So she kind of interrupted the court, and at the moment that they should have been informing him of that right. But yeah. Okay. So that's all the stuff that I'm not going to tell you. And tomorrow, once I get this thing squared away, I'll finish up with the sentence stuff, which is arguably more important stuff. And I'll circle back to some of the stuff that I want to get into today relating to Anthony Sledge as well. Okay. That was, sorry about the camera thing. I was kind of, yeah, see, that thing is Moon Goddess, like that could actually be true given how many things I messed up today. But I'm going to assume that you actually didn't hear me. So I'll repeat all that stuff tomorrow just in case. Thank you, Trekesis. Always good to see you. I really appreciate those of you who keep coming back. Listen to me ramble. But yeah, I'm going to do my best to get everything squared away for tomorrow and try. Yeah, I know that one got us. And try to get everything straightened out. But thanks for coming, and I'll be more organized tomorrow. And yeah, I appreciate all the support for both me and definitely for Antonio as well. So yeah, everybody, have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.